Good morning, everybody. We got everybody back today. The whole gang is back. We got Dan. So nice to see you, brother. We got Jeff, and we got the amazing Mike Langstaff. Let's get right into it.
Let's go.
Sure. Welcome to the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
I always love when we get to see the four squares, like how we normally have on Wednesdays with Dean, because it makes me remind me of like Hollywood Squares or like even Brady Bunch itself, right? So it's awesome to kind of see. Good morning, gents. How you guys doing all this morning?
Oh, great, great.
Good.
I was looking forward to this today.
Yeah, just a little bit of background. Mike is somebody that he's a well-known person, as with an amazing reputation. And I think Jeff, Dan, you guys agree, your reputation, your integrity, your credibility is the most important thing that you have at the end of the day, right? And the one thing I remember when I was leaving my second company to come to the company that I'm with, and working alongside Mike, I had like two people actually come and be like, hey, you're going to be working with Mike, and they had so many positive things to say. And it's something to really, that legacy, Dan, you always kind of talk about it, the image, credibility, and brand. You always want to leave that, and that's somebody that I feel like Mike definitely has. And it was nice talking off air. Dan, you missed it, but basically I learned in the past like 10 minutes not to have a hip replacement or two knee replacements. So it's definitely good news. But Mike, welcome to the show, my friend. We're so glad to have you. I know you're an avid watcher of the show. I'd love to kind of start. Well, let's get into it because we've got a great episode for you. How did you kind of get into logistics? How did logistics find you?
Well, let's see. I'm from Montreal, and I used to work for a company that manufactured cans. And in Quebec, you had to be perfectly bilingual, and I was pretty good at the français. And but to get on the
sounds like it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, français. Anyways, I wanted to be in sales. I wanted to go on the road. And unfortunately, the company changed hands a few times, were bought out. And my actual boss at the time, he decided that he didn't want to, take a chance because he knew, was first in or last in, first out kind of thing when there's acquisitions. So my brother-in-law at the time, he got me into transportation, selling. In a maritime company, and that was in 1987. I never looked back. I moved from Montreal to Toronto. Lived in Toronto now. Oh God, since the last time the Montreal Canadiens won the Stanley Cup. So I was 93, and I never looked back. I've worked as brokerage, asset based. Now I do both, and I love the industry. I wake up every single morning. Pumped up, and to me, it's all about your customers. Whatever your customers want and whatever you have the power to do, one of the topics we were talking about is teamwork, right? I'm only as good as the operations people that work with me. And so far, so good. I probably in the last 4 years where I'm at now, it's been the best I've ever done in my whole career. And like, Jeff always says, customers for life. That's what I believe in. Yes, and here I am talking to you, great folks.
Well, I could tell you when we worked together.
Yep.
When every conversation we had, it was, I don't have the support. I don't have the support. I don't have the support. Yep. And how can somebody get to it? I remember the conversation vividly. We were sitting in my office and you're like, Dan, you get some customers and then you don't have the support and then you lose them. And it's like this whirlwind and you're consistently spinning your wheels and you start to get pissed off and hate the market and not really want to put in that effort to go after the customers. Yep. Because for what reason? I'm just going to lose them.
Yeah.
And
it affects your integrity, like in the eyes of your customers buy from you. And they have trust in you and they have faith in you. And, when that happens, it being in sales, I'm only as good as my last load or my last shipment or, the support. So like, Jeff and I were speaking off there earlier. And, I like to keep customers for life. you're going to lose a lane here and there, whatever, but it's important. And at my young age, I'm very happy. I'm very happy with retirement. No such thing as retirement. You know what I mean?
Well, you're a stellar looking 35-year-old brother. I got
Yeah, well,
I
thanks
was
a
just
lot.
gonna say,
Well, I've been in the industry 35 years. I think I started when I was 10, so 45.
Yeah.
But
nice. Right out of the cradle, man. Wow.
Yeah.
So what in the end, have you always had this mindset, or did something happen where this mindset kind of hit you where it was like, ah, shit, here we go. This is what I got to do.
No, I'll be honest, guys. I was getting really disheartened from the industry, from the experience that I had. But, to put it in perspective, I think it's one of the best industries out there because you diversify yourself. You have different clients, medical, etc., food, right? So I wanted to be positive. I'm a very positive person, and I was pretty disheartened. And then I worked hard to find the right people, the right fit, and I found it. And it's probably the best. I've worked, in the industry 35 years. I've had some really good experiences. I worked for some really solid companies, but I also worked for companies that I probably wouldn't again.
I feel like you wasted a couple of years of your career.
Quite a few years. But you know what? I had this mindset, and like I just said, I'm going to make this work, and it's all about the people. The people help you. And, when you go into a client, you have 100% confidence that, what you're saying to the customer, you make it happen. And that's something that over the last 4 years with this group of people that I work with now, it's been phenomenal. They care. Respect's another thing too.
Right.
They ask me questions about, my experiences, etc., and they listen. And you know what? I'm going to stay in this industry forever. Knock on wood.
Well, it's not us that performs; it's our team that performs, right?
100%.
So I remember Ryan, I don't know if you remembered. I remember when we did the 30-day thing, where I asked people, what if you just had a phone and a computer, what would you do in the next 30 days to get your business back if you lost everything? And Nicole Glenn from Candor Expedite said, I'd spend about 15 days finding the right company.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it was an interesting answer because she's the only one that answered like that. And I said, she goes, I would find the right people to start. And it's, Mike, interesting because when have we ever, now you probably in the last 4 years, this is where you hit, because I remember when we were working together. But before that, when do we ever interview the company to make sure they're a good fit for us? It's like, I can let's do it, man. Let's just go. Let's do it.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
Yeah. But now this last time you made sure that it was a right fit from a corporate perspective. So it all starts. And then if it's the right fit, comes down and everything comes together. Yeah, I love that. I love that.
Honestly, it's been refreshing. It was like I'll be honest, I had a pretty bad taste, with the transportation, and I like to be successful. I'm a big team guy. I think it's really important. And I started to get a little disheartened. And who I'm with now, it basically has changed my life. It's changed my career. I feel like I'm 30 years old again. I get up every single morning, and I'm happy. Everything's falling into place. We talk about work-life balance, Ryan. You've mentioned that a lot of times. I'm so happy with my children, my wife, work. My health is pretty good, knock on wood. Yeah. So when I go through the airport on business trips, the alarms go off, but that's okay. But
you got paperwork for that.
Things are really, really good. And I'm just going to put a thing out there to you guys. You're doing a great job. I love this show. I think you have great guests, and I'm really happy about it. And one of the things I learned too, Dan, is that I have a good friend of mine, this guy, Aaron. I don't know if you probably know him. He's been in the business a long time. I don't want to be my competition's best salesperson.
Oh.
whew,
and
that.
you know, I give credit to him on that, and I use that a lot. It's just like, you know, I'm not in the business for practice. I'll tell you what I can do. I'll tell you to do the best thing. But before I tell the customer what I can do, I listen. A lot of sales guys don't do that anymore. You got to listen to the customer.
That's the key.
You know? Oh, 100%. You know, and it works. And you know, I'm very happy where I am right now in my life.
That's awesome, Mike.
And
And as you kind of mentioned, you know, you have your family. Congratulations. I believe that you're a grandfather now,
Yes,
early this year. So
Are you a grandfather now?
yes, sir. Yeah.
yeah, he's,
Attaboy. Good for
he's
you.
gonna be awesome.
I am.
Mike, I know that the conversations that we had, and for our audience, you grew up in hockey. You know, hockey was a big part of your life.
Yeah, it was.
What skills did you learn while you're playing hockey that transferred into basically your career now?
100% teamwork.
Mm-hmm.
You know, working with others, different personalities, you know, the ups and downs of sports. You know, it made me stronger. One of my favorite words, guys, is called perseverance. You know, you get cut from hockey. You know, you don't make the team, you get traded, etc. But at the end of the day, it's all about teamwork. And that's something that there's no I in team. I know it's, you know, oxymoron or whatever, but it's so true. And it's helped me in the industry. As the industry changes, and Jeff, you can account for this, Dan, you too, it changes. And, you know, as you get older, you get used to certain ways, but you gotta go with the flow. So
you got to evolve in the industry or else you get left behind for sure.
Oh, totally.
Very
And
much so.
to evolve. You know, I remember going way back when I first started, we never had cell phones.
No.
You know,
No.
we never had cell phones. We'd get the pay. Remember, they used to give us the cards so you can call by the pay phone and do your report or call in, etc. And you know what? It was pretty good. But you know, you got to evolve with it. Now the cell phones, we live by them, right? But like, you know, and Dan and
do you remember the first time when we first got cell phones in the industry?
Oh yeah.
And
Big bad phones.
it was this. I remember my first cell phone. The company gave me a car phone, and it was like a big briefcase with this phone on top, and it was literally like the phone like people had at home, with this cord and everything. Yeah. And I thought, ultimate freedom. And within a week, I had so many calls in my car. I'm like, this is crazy. I may as well just stay at the office because I had a stick shift car. So you're like, you got the phone and you're trying to do all this. Yeah. And then when Blackberries first came out, and it was like, now we have ultimate freedom. And I remember within a week, I was like, this is not good because now I have to answer no matter where I am, no matter what I'm doing. You're in the middle of, you know, a 10-foot putt to take your buddy's money, and and you got to like, and it's this expectation, right, of being there and being there. And then I guess, you know what, the reality is, if your customer needs you, your customer needs you,
right?
But there's also the flip side of it. You need your own time as well.
Yeah,
you know,
because I know Langer for sure, you, and I know Jeff, and I believe Ryan. When we first got into this industry, it was like everything 24/7. It was work. It was nonstop. I remember sleeping with my cell phone beside my bed, and I was dealing in automotive, and every 2 hours it'd go off, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. And it's like, and then before you know it, you're sick as a dog. You can't. You're in the hospital because you just you have no life except logistics.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
That unfortunately hits a lot of people hard. And you said the word perseverance, and I love that word because I can't tell you how many salespeople I've seen walk away from the industry because they were sold a bill of goods that is so untrue.
Yeah.
Right. So they come to the office and they see all the fancy cars and they see, you know, people that just, you can tell they're oozing with cash. And it's like, oh, this could be you. This could be you, you know, and it's always that top salespeople that they tell and show and share the money with. And then the salespeople come in and it is a friggin' tough grind. It's a
big
tough
time
industry.
Yeah.
And
it is
personally, I've seen way too many really good people leave because of misinformation.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
two major things that have happened, and I know Mike will agree. The two major things. One was back in the 80s when we got our data by 11 by 17 green bar paper that was printed out. That's how we got them.
Yeah.
And the first computer system was an AS400. I mean, we're going way back with the green screen and the white letters. And at the end of the day,
it was DOS system. You go,
you
yes,
couldn't see a dollar in front of you. You couldn't see a dollar in front of you because everything was hazy. Yeah. And then there was the pony charts and the tariffs where we didn't have online ability, so all your rates were in paper form and you had to go and look through all that. And then the last one, there's three actually, was the cell phone, because when you got that cell phone, Dan, and you know it as well, is that your company had you 24/7 whether you liked it or not. And those were the expectations. When this, wherever my phone is, this thing rang, you had to pick it up. Because if you didn't, you would hear it from your boss the next morning for sure. And those were the three major things that I've noticed for years. So
you are so right. You are so right. Oh, I forgot.
And then there's me who can't relate to any of this. It's like, this is nostalgia. It's like, hey.
Well, Ryan,
that's the evolution.
Computers have done a lot, but pre-computer, you get carpal tunnel writing out your load sheet.
Oh yeah.
Like it used to be pads of paper with the that would transfer, whatever that black transfer sheet is in the middle. And it would be a pad of paper and it would have your company logo and the address and send the invoice to. And every single load sheet, you're like writing it all out. And if you miss something, you're on the hook. Like you miss customs, you miss any information, you're on the hook. So it's not like today where it's real easy. You enter it once under the shipper information. And you're like, it's going to be there. This is like, and now you're, so picture it, your phone's ringing. You have like 10 loads to cover. There's no such thing as like posting and all this kind of stuff. Like you're trying to find trucks, and if there was load link, it would go down every like 10 minutes, and then you'd be screaming to IT to update it, and you're handwriting your load sheets, and it was like brutal. It was insane compared to where we are today. I mean, today you can go on here, duplicate, okay, send a load sheet, and you're done, and you go back to your golf game. And I don't mean to sound, but it's reality of what we can do, right? It was an interesting world, and that's the world where I find anyways, and gents, please share, like you were in, and as opposed to today's world where a lot of salespeople come in, they're like, not interested, and they're gone. Like for me anyways, it was like literally I was on unemployment and I got told to come in, you can make a lot of money, and I was in. That was it. Like there was no question. And that's why when Mike said, like Langer, when you said how you got in, I could have swore it had something to do with a bar. And you're one of the first people I've met that has not had like a bar experience that actually got them into logistics. So it's pretty cool. But it kept you in, right? No matter how much you hated it, no matter how much you disliked it, somehow you stayed in it.
Yeah,
it's just the old school way.
You know something to Mike's statement earlier. The way I look at it is when you have years of experience in this field, when you get to our age, you have that ability to have much more choices because you don't feel that you have to take that job. You're more in the control seat than you are as a young person getting in the field. You get that opportunity, you jump on it, you take the job, and then the next thing you say, oh shit, what did I do this for? When you get older, you can make those choices. You can think about it more. The pressure's not really on you as it was when you were younger, because hopefully you've done well and you succeeded over that time. And now you can pick and choose however you like. And that's a plus right now. But there's a lot of people, unfortunately, that just jumps at the first, the gold nugget. Like you said, Dan, overpromise and underdeliver on all benefits and expectations. And you're in there and you're like, why did I do this? And then you have the old non-compete that they just sign their life away as well, because it's like, I got to get this job. It's great. And they screw themselves for 3 years. So it wasn't that way back,
No.
Jeff, you bring up a great point. But if you guys think about this for a second, when people jump, it's typically because there's like some kind of signing bonus and they're in some kind of financial trouble. They're having issues and going to lose business or have lost business. Like people jump for specific reasons. And you take Langer, for example, right? Any company can come up to him right now and offer him the world. He's happy.
Very.
Why would he jump?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. I've always said it's crazy.
Yeah, and good point.
Right? But think about it. And Langer, where we come from, right? The world that we came from, there was 3 companies that just fought each other for everybody else's scraps.
Yeah.
Like when you think about it. And I've always said, like you're doing 30, 40, 50 G's a month, GP. Forget about where you guys are. Like 30, 40, 50 G's a month. That's really good money for a lot of people. Why would you take a chance and jump? Because if you're doing 50 G's a month, your management's not on your case. As long as your shit's getting done.
Yeah.
You're selling. And if you're doing 50 G's a month, you're probably golfing and selling and chilling and selling and enjoying it and like creating, designing your life.
Yeah.
But we see it all the time. And I've often asked myself, and I can remember when I was part of it, when people were leaving, I was like, why are you leaving? Like, why would you leave that company if you're doing so well over there? Oh, well, management. But I'm like, management, if management is bugging you when there's 50, 60 G's a month, like, you know, and what's the plan to leave? Right.
Yeah.
And I think it's, you know, Jeff, you said something, you know, hopefully you've done well and hopefully you've planned for this. I don't think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people do well to the point where it meets their lifestyle, not exceeds their lifestyle, meaning 1 month goes by with no commission, they're in a lot of trouble. All right. And that's my perspective anyways, because I've never understood if a salesperson is doing 50, 60 G's and they come to another company and they say, okay, well, I'll give you 20 grand signing bonus if you come over. If you're doing 50, 60 G's a month, 20 grand's nothing.
Right.
Like why would you uproot your customers, your ops team, your stability, your seniority, your tenure, whatever the case may be, and go and move? You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes we just got to stop and think about this for a second. Like, what is that, you know, bomb that's about to go off? Do you know what I mean? And I remember, Langer, when you moved, I remember vividly because for your first day there, we had a chat, and all these customers that were supposed to come were being held up, and then the ones that came, you got let down by ops, and I mean there was all of these things that happened towards that last piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And it was always like, you know, I don't know. It's just, for me, I just always thought that's crazy how people would do that. But
one thing,
you know, on perseverance, I'll use myself as an example. The first year I was in business, I made $9,000 the whole year. I did everything wrong because I'm not a sales guy. So I expected everybody else to do my job, and I hired the wrong people, and I did all this other kind of stuff, and it was just horrible. So I sucked that all back in and redeveloped, replanned, rethought, where the hell am I going, man? I can't go down this road like this. And then things just started, the momentum started picking up. I started putting the right pieces together. Now I'm doing great, you know, and it's just doubling every single year. And that's my plan, you know, and it wasn't fun. It's not fun to lose, but you have to fail first to succeed. And those who aren't willing to fail will never succeed because they're not going to know what each side of that fence really looks like. They're not, because they're only going to be on one side. If you just stay in that failure zone, you're never going to know what success is. But if you fail, you learn, you gain that knowledge, you'll be on the other side, and it is green over there. It is green.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you never know. You know, it's the polar law of opposites, right? You never know a good paycheck if you never had a bad one, right? So, what were you going to say, Langer? You were going to say something there.
Oh, I'm just saying, getting back to where I am today, I've taken all the good throughout my career, the good, the bad, how I do things differently, and at the end of the day, it's still all about the customer, and it's what the customer wants. And if you listen, you'll learn. And then if I can be a fit for that customer, perfect. If I can't, I'll let them know
It's
that.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. And they respect that. So basically, I take the good and the bad, and here I am today. I'm very happy. Get back to what you said, Dan. Very happy. I my customers are amazing. Thank God COVID's over. I can get back traveling again. That was something where I had a hard time because the Zoom calls like this is great, but I like face to face. I like shaking old school. You want to say, Jeff? Shake your hand, look in your eye.
That was the contract. That was the contract, Mike. That was it. If you had a handshake, a done deal. You didn't need a signature on anything, man. No. You left that office and you knew the next day you were getting that business.
Yeah. So here we are today, and this is great. I'm like I said, I'm an avid watcher of your show. I think it's amazing. I learned a lot. That. No, it's true. I can't learn. The day I stop learning is the day I guess I have to retire, and there's no R in my name other than my middle initial. It's great, and I learned from young guys. Everybody I worked with are all younger, but who says you can't? The old saying, teach an old dog new tricks. I'm still learning every day, and I'm going with the flow. Do I agree with everything? Not always, but you got to roll with the punches. You want to be successful. There's a fellow. There's a
great
guy that I work with. Dan, I don't know if you know him or not. He was one of my first bosses, probably, and I wouldn't say boss leader that I had. And he's out in California, and I think Arizona now. He's in his 80s, and he is still rocking it. He still has his customers that he had 20 years ago, and it keeps him young. I mean, he had to go with the weather because let's be honest. I think you'll live a little longer if you're living in the heat, opposed to the winter. But great guy, and he always said to me, he goes, Langer, never let your highs be too high, and never let your lows be too low. Always be even keel. And you know what? It'll probably like 30 years to get to that point, because let's be honest, we're all a little bit A personality. But I tell you, it works and it helps, and that's why I'm excited. I'm happy. Got another 50 years
for you, brother.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, you know what? You can go as long as you want in this industry. That's the reality of it.
Yep.
You can go as long as you want, and as long as you're having fun. And that's the way I look at it. The day I stop having fun is the day you have to look at yourself and go, okay, what's up? What's happening?
And that's exactly what happened to me before, the last 4
I know.
Or whatever. And now I'm happy. I wake up every single morning and I'm excited. What's the challenge going to be for today? And it's awesome.
Yep.
It is very, very, very much so, and
how can I meet it as my best self?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing that you can't train, and I know Mike will definitely agree with this, is that the one thing that's lacking in the younger generation is street smarts. All the way.
It's not all their fault.
You can't teach that. You can't teach that kind of stuff, And I think, and I said this, Dan and Ryan know it. I think it's much easier to get on the sales side if you work from the inside out and you understand how the logistics operations work and the problems that they go through every single day, rather than being a newbie and jumping in the sales seat and not knowing how the logistics and the operations side of that is. I think that the transition is much easier from the inside out rather than the outside in. That's just my own personal belief.
I agree. And Daniel, back in the day when we used to, you would actually, from order to cash, you would manage it. So from the inside to the sales to making sure you get paid, it hasn't changed. But when you have the support staff, and team getting back to that team again, that you have 100% confidence in, you have the experience to know when the order's placed at customer service centers at the computer, how difficult it can be, and you got to put the proper information in. And then when it transfers over to the follow-up and et cetera, right until the day it's paid. That was a good learning curve for me. See, I started in transportation, Jeff, on the sales side.
Right.
Not really knowing the operation. And let me tell you, operations is sales and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you got to work as a team.
Operations is the biggest sales job in the company.
Huge. And it's called,
Yeah, but collaboration, though, where the rubber hits the road and things happen is when sales meets operation and you bring them into the fold and they're on the same page. That's when magic happens. It's when sales is way off to the right, operations is off to the left, and they don't communicate. No one knows what the hell they're doing. That's where the problems exist.
Yeah.
You've got to bring
Everyone thinks they have exactly what the customer wants and they know exactly what the customer wants, but nobody really does because everybody's getting half-assed information. And
because they're all going in their own directions and no one's on the same page, and it never works.
So I think as a salesperson, I think it's mandatory that you should do ops because it gives you a huge insight into the inner levels of what we do and what we sell. Like as a salesperson that did his own ops, right? The company I worked for had a very good philosophy. They said, listen, you have to do $5,000 a week by yourself, all your own ops before you get a support team. And as much as that $20,000 a month was so hard to get to,
it's tough,
because it is because you're running all of your freight, you're doing all your follow-up, you're doing all your invoicing, like you're dropping the loads and everything. And then when accounting wouldn't get the invoices, they're calling you and you have to call. And so you're doing all of these jobs, plus you're still trying to build your business. But I'll tell you, once you got to that point and got an operations person under you, you knew you were able to call bullshit a mile away where a customer would say, well, I'm getting this much. And you're like, there is no way in hell you're paying that for that. All right, have a great day. And you just, your brain operates on a totally different path in sales when you understand the operational aspect behind it and what it takes to actually get it delivered, right? And that's when you start saying things like, yeah, no, sorry, I can't drop my price. For what you're looking for, the A, B, C, and D, I need that in order to make it work. Yeah. And that's where you start making real money for what you're worth. Yeah. And I think a lot of salespeople, just to try and put numbers on the board or just to try and do all of that kind of garbage, they're not really getting paid what they're worth, right? You know what I mean? Like we all have a worth that we get paid, and it's based on the value we bring to our customers. And you can bring all this value to your customer and get paid peanuts because it's not the right customer. It's not your ideal client profile. They're all about price. You're about service. You can give them all the service in the world and lose the customer in a month because they don't give a shit about it, right?
Right. Don't devalue what you said, your value. Don't devalue your value.
Yeah.
Know what it is and sell what your value is. That's the huge differentiator between you and someone else. Know your value, bring it to the table, and don't undervalue yourself. If it doesn't work, like you said, Dan, everybody be able to say no when no has to be said and walk away. And that's when success happens. It really does. When you have the ability to say no to someone, it's not going to work. From what I'm hearing and understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, they tell you, you know what, it's just not going to work for us. I appreciate your time today. Thank you very much. On your way. See you later.
Now, Jeff, there's one thing that's a caveat to that. Yeah. And because there's somebody out there right now going, oh yeah, well, that's easy. You guys are doing numbers and you guys have all these clients. I know it might feel like that, but here's the thing. You're going to be way better off in 3 to 6 months by saying no now. And I've been through this. Mike, I know you've been through it. Jeff, you've probably been through it. Ryan, you've probably been through it, where it's like you take the business because it's business and you want to get those numbers. And then in 3 months from now, this customer has used up so much of your time, you've actually lost revenue on the back end and lost the ability to serve on the back end. And now you got to go through the same cycle over and over and over again. Mm-hmm. And the cycle is you haven't made a sales call, a cold call in X amount of time. Now it's like, I'm off, I'm shaky, I'm nervous, I'm a little bit fearful. because I've got numbers now, and I'm like, I got this stature, and now customers or prospects are going to say no to me. And there's all these thoughts that go through our minds. And it's like, you shouldn't have taken that business in the first place, because in the end, it's not helping you get to where you are. And, I see it in a lot of new salespeople that come in, and they're just like, oh man, like I gave this customer everything and they still dropped me, and it's crazy, but it happens.
It's true.
You got to find out, but you got to find out why. I mean, that's the key there. Are you asking the right questions as
Well, yeah,
to
you're
why
not.
you're no longer doing business with me? Where did I fail? Tell me. I tell you, I'm honest, and my integrity is first and foremost. So I'm telling you what you want to hear and what you don't want to hear. So tell me the same thing. Where did I fail? Where could I have been better? How could I have been able to support you where you need me? What didn't I understand?
Yeah.
That's the
And
way.
hopefully you have a customer that's a prospect customer that's going to tell you, right?
That's
Otherwise,
the
most of them
relationship.
just kind of chew through suppliers.
That's where the best relationships happen, is when you can agree to disagree. And when you get to that
run up their
point
credit
and you have that mutual understanding, you are going to have a long-term business relationship. I don't care who the hell you are. They're feeding your needs, you're feeding their needs. You have an understanding with them, vice versa. You're on the right path. It's when you get side rail and you don't ask those questions and you don't follow up and you don't get those responses that you're looking for from your customers, that's where you're going to fail. That's where the time and money is spent unwisely.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
I just the guy's preaching to the choir over here. It's Mike. It's been like you've like you kind of mentioned here. You've kind of gone from not having that support staff and having that support staff. I think like people want to know, including myself, what's changed. What has been? Is it just? It's not going to be that hey, it's a better caliber of a team, but what do you personally do, chatting with your team, getting knowledge and different things in the industry to ensure that hey, you're having the best years of your life?
You know what? I would say I learned from the past, and communication, not only to the customer, but communication with the people that you work with, the people that make the decisions to give you that support staff. So they know who you are, what ticks, they know your customer. It's the responsibility of a salesperson to provide concise information and accuracy on what the customer needs. And as a salesperson, and it took me a long time, you have to listen to the customer, ask them the right questions, and you never know what the right questions are these days, right? Let's be honest. But Ryan, to your point, it's communication to the people that make it happen. And I've made mistakes in the past, and you've got to learn from your mistakes. What could I have done better? Well, given the right opportunity and the right surrounding with the right people, because it's all about the people. The company is the name, but who makes up that company? It's the people. And it starts at the top. And I just said communication is everything. It's communication. It's constant communication. Emails. I'm not a big fan of emails, I'll be honest with you. Remember the old days, boys? You talk on the phone, you talk to the client, you see the person. The email is for, as per our conversation, this is what happens. So,
it's a lazy address, because you can't hear the tone in an email.
No, you can't.
You can read the tone, but you can't hear it. It's like face to face, Mike, right? I mean, you can see the emotions blooming. You can see them rolling their eyes, twiddling their fingers, doodling around. What's
you're
actually,
reading the tone that you
getting
want.
a grip in them versus something that's just not working, and that's what lacks in an email. If you're going to write an email, get on the freaking phone, make that call, and hear them out and listen carefully. Listen very, very carefully to what's being said.
But also, you're interpreting that email based on your present mood. Yeah. So a lot of the times when we read, we interpret what's being written as how we're feeling, not necessarily what the intent of that email is. Yeah. And that's a big problem with it.
That is big, huge.
Mike, you said something, Mike, there that's absolutely critical, where talking to the people that can have the support or bring the team in. and being fully transparent with them and saying, like, listen, I got these 5. This one's probably not going to hit. This one, I'm feel pretty good about. These 2, I feel really good about, and this one, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But if we talk just these 2, I know within the next kind of 60 days, this is what I'm expecting to hit from a volume perspective.
Yeah. And
I wanted to let you know because I know it's going to put strain on the present ops team. I'm thinking maybe we should kind of beef that up now.
Yeah.
What do you think? And that conversation is a conversation that saves so much, because how many times have we closed accounts and then gone to corporate and said, I need more people, and they're like, we have none. It's going to take us 3 months to train, and now you're like, oh my god, like you're going crazy because you feel like you got no support. But as a salesperson, I didn't do my job in communicating to my higher ups that, hey, my team is getting stretched so thin that we're about to break, and I need support. And I think that's where a lot of salespeople then come back and say, well, my company doesn't want to support me. It's like, no, companies typically, especially at this point in time, don't just have 8 or 10 ops people in the wind just kind of hanging out waiting to be put on a team. As the company grows, we put more people in place, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting because there's that thin line that we have to kind of walk with prospecting, closing deals, our management, corporate, and our team, and it's a lot.
So that's all part, Dan, that's all part of the what if scenarios. And you heard me talk about that, right? So you're going in for a job, okay? And you want to go and work for a broker. Those are the type of questions that you want to ask. Let's look at the what ifs, okay? I've got a $5 million account that I'm going to bring in, okay? Do you have the ops to support this? How are you going to do this if I bring this in? All right, because they always ask you the questions. So wouldn't you want to know that up front, that if you indeed do, or you have a book of business and you're going to go in there, you want to know if they can support you. That's all part about going in and getting the right job that's going to suit you. So, I mean, you got to play reverse roles here, right? They're drilling you and what you have and everything. Well, this is the best time for you to turn the pages and ask them those critical because that's what's going to make you or break you. You're either going to sit there for 6 months and be really happy, or you're going to sit there for 6 months. They're going to take your customer. You're going to be out on the street. And then that's the way things work. So you got to ask those critical questions if you're going to go into those type of roles.
Or even worse, you're going to go there and you're going to lose your customers.
That's what I just said. Right. That exactly. So it's the role changes, role plays. When you get in big opportunities and everything, they sit you down there and they look at your interpersonal skills, this, that, everything, and then they make a decision based upon how you answered that. Well, do the same thing. Interview the company that you're going to work for. Why not? You have that opportunity to do so, and those who don't ask those questions, shame on you. Shame on you. It's like going into a prospect. If you don't ask those pertinent questions that you need answered in order for you to do business with them, walk away. If they're unwilling to participate in a mutual conversation, then it's not going to work. You have to have that engagement. Have to.
Awesome to kind of hear, boys. Go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. Mike, you want to thank you so much for coming out this morning, brother. If anybody wants to kind of get, because I know personally, I can reach out to you anytime, and you're always there, willing, helpful, and you have so much knowledge. Where can people find you? On LinkedIn, on where can people go?
that was a good setup.
Trying to fly under.
Hey, Langer, let's just blow up your DMs and stuff, because you got nothing else to do. Don't worry about it.
No,
yeah.
No, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn. I try and fly under the radar, but on LinkedIn, reach out.
Not anymore.
I'll help anybody.
Not anymore.
Ryan just put an end to that single-handedly.
Hopefully, I can.
He's a great resource.
Get ready, my friend.
Yeah,
okay. It's definitely worth it. I think definitely has that with him. So definitely reach out to Mike on LinkedIn. Mike has the ability, and there's very few people in the world that I've come across though, but he has the ability to have a conversation with and feel better than you left. Right. And he doesn't make it all about himself. And that's the one thing that I truly love. He likes to listen and understand. So just imagine he does that with me and anybody else on our team. He does that with his customers. He does that with everybody in his life. And we're really thankful to have you here this morning, Mike. Thank you so much for all your support. You were one of the first people to reach out to me when I came on the show to say, you're doing a great job. So thank you for that, brother. And,
you're welcome.
It's awesome to see.
Jeff, pleasure meeting you. Dan, great seeing you. Stay
Great,
healthy,
great
buddy.
seeing you again, man.
Stay healthy.
That's
Perseverance.
that's the routine.
Word.
Well, you know what? It's
Perseverance.
I've learned a lot of lessons, and one of them is don't jump. Like it was when I first stopped treatment, it was 2 weeks just lying in bed, and I'm like, okay, no, I'm ready to go, and then it's like you'd go until you get tired, and then I'd start napping, and then all of a sudden I didn't need to nap, so then it's like I'm cranking it up 5, 6, 7 notches a day. And then it just hit me like a ton of bricks. And it was like, wow, okay, all right. Lesson learned. But it's the taking a step back that I don't like.
Yeah.
But that. We've been friends for a long time. You know how I am.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'd rather take a step back and 2 or 3 steps forward than the other way around.
Yep.
Guys. Jeff, pleasure meeting you, and we're going to meet in person.
Yes, sir.
For sure. And it's been a while. Ryan, well, I guess I see you once in a while.
Yeah, we'll get together and chat again. So I want to thank everybody for coming out this morning. We'll hit the replays again at 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Eastern time on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter as well. Tomorrow is going to be Data Day with Dean. So definitely tune in for a jam-packed episode of tons of data. And let's get to it, boys. All right. Take care, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Have a great day.
Bye now.
Centurion Trucking. Our motto is people before profit. Today's market requires more transparency, consistency, and focus on what our clients need to win. Centurion Trucking and American Logistics are poised to help their clients achieve and surpass their targets. If you're looking for a team that honors your needs, dreams, and aspirations, then get a hold of Daman at American Logistics or Centurion Trucking and start designing your career